For the purpose of this meeting, there's a quorum of the council present. Agenda item number 2, invocation. Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, followed by the United States Pledge and the Texas Pledge, which will be led by City Council. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for all that you do for us, your divine intervention, you're working things out, Father, and guiding and directing us and giving us the ability to think and plan and make our city a better place to live. We just pray that you bless our council tonight and give them insight and understanding as we tackle the issues that are before the city tonight. And we just praise your name and glorify you, and we put our trust in you. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Moving on to agenda item number 4A, proclamation proclaiming the week of May 4th, 2025 as Municipal Clerks Week. I'm going to read this proclamation, and I'm going to ask Janice and Skylar to meet me down front here in just a moment after I read this proclamation. The 56th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 4th through 10th, 2025. Whereas the profession of municipal clerks is essential to the effective functioning of local government in Texas, ensuring transparency, accountability, and the smooth operation of municipal services. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, whereas Texas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality while serving as a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of the government at other levels. Whereas Texas municipal clerks serve as the official record keepers, managing vital documents, conducting municipal elections, providing legislative support, and ensuring compliance with laws and regulations in cities across Texas. And whereas municipal clerks demonstrate exceptional dedication, professionalism, and integrity in their work, often going above and beyond to serve their communities and to facilitate the effective governance of local governments. Whereas the Texas Municipal Clerks Association, TMCA, represents more than 1,100 municipal clerks who contribute significantly to the success and efficiency of local government throughout the state of Texas. And whereas Municipal Clerks Week provides an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the invaluable work of municipal clerks, acknowledge their vital contributions to public service, and highlight the important role they play in the day-to-day operations of our cities. And whereas it is fitting that the City of Paris take this opportunity to honor and thank Janice Ellis and Skylar Unger for their ongoing dedication, knowledge, and tireless services. Now, therefore, I, Mihir Pankaj, Mayor, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4th, 2025 as Municipal Clerks Week in the City of Paris, and encourage all residents to recognize the important work of Janice and Skylar and join in celebrating their contributions to our community. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Paris to be affixed this 28th day of April, 2025. Janice and Skylar, if you'll meet me downstairs. Okay, we will now move on to agenda item number 4B, Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes unless an item is posted on the agenda. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as an individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. Would anyone like to come up?
Alvin Atwood, 2419 Bonham Street. I was here for a meeting where y'all said that y'all were going to try to force your way into people's property and then make them pay for it. There's 2 constitutional amendments against that, and we are willing to fight you at every step of the way. That will not happen. I get it that there's a bunch of slumlords in this town that do need to be checked and provide better living for people, but your actions of thinking you're going to force your way onto our property and then make us pay for it on a yearly whatever, no, that cannot happen. The false accusations that people are being evicted before the city can inspect any complaints. I've talked to both offices of the Justice of the Peace that have said those claims are false. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Savage for standing against that. Our taxes are already spread too thin as it stands. Water bill's outrageous, and you're trying to cause rent to even go up, and that cannot happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, I have some people here that's going to donate their 2 minutes to me so I can get a full little 10-minute speech in. Got Josh here.
I donate my time to Trevor Carrico.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Joshua Payne, 220 34th Northeast.
Krista Carrico, Frisco, Colorado.
Eric Gilbreth, Montgomery, Texas.
Colton Carrico, Antlers, Oklahoma.
All right. Get the speech going. So I'm here today to address the blatant violations of my brother Colton Carrico's rights and the continued infringement on my father Joey Carrico's constitutional rights. I'm Trevor Carrico, 38 years old, a big brother, son, a husband, and a U.S. Marine veteran, live in Frisco, Colorado. On June 1st, 2021, Paris police officer Derek Bristow shot my brother Colton in his back, resulting in total paralysis from the waist down. This singular, unjustified act, coupled with the corruption and incompetence by the city of Paris, has forever altered the trajectory and my family's history and legacy. My brother is my best friend. Before this event, he lived every day as an adventure. He existed to live, and now he lives to exist. He requires constant medical care and supervision to perform basic daily tasks while enduring the excruciating pain. Watching my little brother struggle every day for the past 4 years is a pain that I don't wish on my gravest enemy. I'm ashamed to be from a city that has allowed this and continues to allow something like this to happen to one of their own. Your city officials, police force, and council members have done nothing to correct this miscarriage of justice. They have only elevated their skill set of corruption, lies, cover-ups, and negligence. Let's talk about the lies. Paris police stated on the official hospital report that my brother ran from the police after wrecking his truck. That was a lie. They stated that there was a fatality in a wreck. That was a lie. That my brother was shooting back at the police while he was running away. That was a lie. and that's when he was shot in his back. The whole report is fabricated and nowhere near the truth. How is this even possible? Why is there no fact-checking accountability? Because the deceptive report, my brother received the worst possible medical care at Plano Hospital because they believed he was a threat to public servants. Not only did they treat him poorly, after only 1 week of care, they basically kicked him out and offered him a homeless shelter as housing. It's truly despicable and heartbreaking to see this city allow such reports to be used as facts and not hold the lying police department accountable. No one is safe in Paris, Texas. Due to a lack of experience and a lack of proper training, my brother will never walk again. He will never fish barefoot by the river. He'll never feel the weight of his nieces and nephews sitting in his lap. He'll never hike the Colorado mountains with his best friend again. Officer Derek Bristow stole all those things from Colton that night, yet Bristow is among us walking as a free man. You allowed him to return to duty as if nothing ever happened. No counseling, no training, no empathy, no compassion, nothing, like nothing ever happened. We demand to be seen. We demand to be heard. My family and thousands of others abhorrently disagree with the circumstances of Colton's shooting. You cannot continue to ignore us, and you cannot continue to blatantly disregard the United States Constitution. You cannot continue to throw out qualified immunity as it has no basis here. Bristow violated clearly established constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known, which is the basis of the qualified immunity principle. He negated Colton's constitutional rights of living freely when he shot him in the back. The city attorney has prohibited me from speaking with anyone except her, and Officer Bristow's file has been sealed and not accessible to the public. The public has the right to know how dangerous he is to your community. Every single public information request has been refused, and it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, for me to get any information about any of police officer-involved shootings here in this city. Her actions paint a grim picture depicting the corruption that runs deep within Paris and Lamar County. Chief Richard Salter is spearheading the police department with his lousy leadership and obvious incompetence. I plead for the public to call for a national emergency to investigate all the departments in the city, and I request that any federal agencies, major news stations, social media platforms check into these actions that has happened since Chief Salter has become appointed your chief. My brother fights so hard every day just to survive. He has used every weapon in his arsenal and every tool in his belt to heal his injured body and mind. After years of social alcohol use, he chose to abstain from alcohol for almost 3 years, but sadly, alcohol has proven to be the tool that provides relief from his pain. He would rather be numb, and he is losing his will to fight. That's why I'm here today. We're witnessing the worst possible scenario now for my brother as we watch him die slowly. Every day seems to get worse and worse. Alcohol causes a loss in his key motor skills, resulting in an increase of wheelchair accidents. How would you all feel if your little brother kept falling out of his wheelchair? It's a horrible sight to see, and our hearts are breaking into smaller pieces every day. Y'all are killing him by not affording the compensation required to live, let alone survive. Colton was innocent that night. He did nothing wrong, and he received no criminal charges. Yet he is punished every morning he wakes up. We have been silent, but that will soon change if justice is not served and this police department is not held accountable for their lawless actions. We demand to exercise our constitutional rights, and if this continues to be put on hold, we will protest. We will protest the streets. The city will hear our voices for years to come. Colton Carrico deserves his right to a fair jury trial. He deserves so much more. He deserves to live. Let's add some insult to the injury my father is going through right now, because his rights are being violated as well. Richard Salter and Derek Bristow.
Mr. Carrico, I'm
Yep.
sorry, please no personal attacks on
Okay.
our staff, okay?
Okay. There has been a bogus warrant against my father, and when you have a corrupt police department and a rogue officer, then it's in the makings for a Dateline special. My father has been forced to pay over $300 monthly and has had his liberty burdened by the intrusive, inhumane ankle monitor that he's been wearing for 18 plus months. With no justification, no verdict or explanation on what laws he has broke, no trial date, nothing. So my dad will be filing a separate lawsuit against Derek Bristow for defamation of character and false felony accusations, costing my father tens of thousands of dollars in court costs and ankle monitor charges, in addition to his mental anguish. The only thing my father is guilty of is protecting his right to free speech. I figured the city would have learned their lesson after Officer Derek Belcher was terminated indefinitely for harassing my grieving father, but no. Instead, this will be another hefty lawsuit against this city to be filed after these unconstitutional acts are reversed in court. I'm curious to know how much the city and its people will be paying in court fees. I'm American. I believe in the U.S. Constitution. We have certain unalienable rights given to us by the government to protect us from the government. And therefore, as Americans, we have the right to redress our government officials for not upholding their sworn duties. I will never stand for Paris what they've done to my family. I demand that the city expedite the dismissal of all pending charges as they relate to Joey Carrico. I demand that the city compensate Colton Carrico for his injuries and injustice. I demand that the city of Paris, Texas is held accountable for the overload of corruption. I demand justice for the Carrico family. We want justice. We want justice. So you guys know.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? If not, I will close the public hearing. Moving on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item from the agenda for any further discussion? If not, I will hear a motion.
So moved.
We've got a motion. You hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Moving to the regular agenda. Agenda item number 14, receive an update about the Loop expansion project. Councilmember Putnam requests that this item be presented, and staff has arranged a presentation from the TxDOT engineer. Sir, if you don't mind, staff, we've got a presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Dan Perry. I'm the Director of Transportation Planning and Development for Paris's TxDOT District, Texas Department of Transportation. I'm an engineer here with the Highway Department. I know it's a lot of words to say that. I was asked to give an update on loop projects in City of Paris and where we're at right now. Give all my presentations, I always like to start out with a safety message. I know you've probably heard me say this before. November 7th, 2000 was the last day in the state of Texas that no one passed away in a car crash on a public roadway. And that's a streak that none of us are proud of. It's coming up on 25 years. We had one day in February of 2021 where we thought that we might break that streak. It didn't work out. We had one person pass away in a car crash that day. A relatively minor car crash. The people in the car that had their seatbelts on walked away, and the person that did not have their seatbelt on passed away in the crash. And so it's something that we need to work together with you guys and the public in general to help us get there. Just some stats from 2024. So Paris District is composed of 9 counties. It includes obviously Paris and Lamar County. We've got Sherman, Bonham, Greenville, Cooper, Sulphur Springs, Emory, Clarksville, and Mount Vernon. We had 84 total fatal crashes last year, and resulting in 102 fatalities. 45% of those, speeding was a factor. Everybody can control the speed of their vehicle. However, almost half of the fatalities the crashes were caused from speeding accidents. 45% also included driving under the influence, either driving drunk or high or somehow somebody made a decision to drive that way, and it resulted in a tragedy. 22% unrestrained. This means they weren't wearing their seat belts. If you look at this in terms of people that could have had a seatbelt on, so these weren't motorcycle crashes, weren't pedestrian crashes, that number is a little over 45% also. Next is distracted driving. 17% involved distracted driving. So these first 4 items are all things that every single one of us controls when we get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Every single person that was involved in one of these crashes chose to make a bad decision and resulted in tragedy. And 7% is pedestrian crashes as well. As I'm sure you know, in the City of Paris, we've had a big push here over the last couple of years to build pedestrian facilities, sidewalks throughout the City of Paris, as well as our other 8 counties as well in the district. But we've had a big push to try to get sidewalks built for a long time in Paris, and we finally were given some means to do that through the federal government, and we've been happy to get those projects built. All right, so on Loop 286 in Paris, years ago, we started a giant feasibility study that looked at all 360 degrees, all the way around Paris. Mainly what we wanted to know is we wanted to talk to the public, we talked to the city of Paris, we talked to the fire department, police department, we talked to North Lamar, Paris ISD, Chisholm, we talked to Campbell Soup, Kimberly-Clark. I wanted to bring everybody in and say, what do you see as being the biggest issues? And from that feasibility study, we were able to break down where we wanted to have our first big project. And really, we identified two first big projects. The first, of course, is the Northeast Loop. That goes from Stillhouse Road to Pine Mill Road and is a freeway conversion. So it will build an overpass at Collegiate. It will replace the overpass at FM 195. It'll build frontage roads throughout that connect the frontage roads at Stillhouse and Pine Mill, and get the fast-moving traffic that wants to get through out through safely. We keep the people that want to go to Home Depot and Tamales and the bank and everywhere else they're trying to get to there along the Northeast Loop can take the frontage roads, and of course you can take the main lanes too, but there will be off ramps and on ramps. They wanted to keep the high speed traffic that's trying to get through town. 82 is a major route between I-30 and I-35, and more people are starting to figure that out. You don't have to take I-30 into Dallas to get to I-35. You can come down 82, and we're seeing that obviously throughout the district. The other project that we decided to identify was the Southeast Loop project that converts us from a 2-lane highway to a 5-lane highway. They're by the high school, where we currently have 5-lane highway just north of, it's the creek there, Brushy Creek, down around by the high school to 1924. That project is not funded. I do want to stress that the Northeast Loop project is a funded construction project. Right now, we're a little north of $152 million to get that project built. We've got all the funding in hand. We've got about 95% engineering plans. We've already begun purchasing right away and moving utilities to get that project built. Just kind of a quick breakdown on what the section looks like. What we have is on the top right corner, and what we're going to is in the bottom. Now, it looks a lot more impactful than it is. We were able to figure out how to do this by buying small slivers of right-of-way frontage in order to get the frontage roads built. We will construct the new main lanes in the center. So what's grass in the middle is going to be the new 4 lanes of traffic, frontage roads on the outside, and then ramps that connect those two together. The project also includes a shared use path and a sidewalk. So the big difference between shared use path and sidewalk is the shared use path is wider. And so you can legally ride a bike on a shared use path where you can't legally ride a bike on a sidewalk. This project will have both. As far as what it's going to look like, a lot of it is going to look like, if you think about Pine Mill Road overpass. When we built that back in 2006, 2007, we built what we call a retaining wall design. So instead of having the big sloped front slopes there that come down off of the other overpasses in Paris, that sometimes are either difficult to mow, they're difficult to keep stabilized in a loose, wet condition. Sometimes you see a lot of slides there that give us a lot of trouble. We will build these new ones with retaining walls, and they're called mechanically stabilized walls. So they're state of the art. They work really well. They have a nice architectural look to them. They're not just a big blank concrete wall that's smooth. They will include turnaround lanes at Collegiate and at 195. Because the frontage roads we're going to construct are one-way frontage roads. They're safer. They allow you to have a safer entrance and exit into the freeway. And when you include those turnarounds there at the overpass like you have at Pine Mill Road, it's not as cumbersome to have to go through a signalized intersection, make a left, make another left, like you currently have to do at FM 195 now. This is the current timeline we're on. So like I said, we started this a long time ago, multiple public meetings. you really only have to have one public meeting. We decided to have 3. We wanted to make sure everybody really got what we were doing, and we were putting out there the solution that people wanted to see and building the project that needed to be built. Currently set for construction in fall 2027. The project is scheduled actually in September of 27. We are in the long, arduous process right now of buying right-of-way and moving utilities. We're working our way through that. That's gone very well. Been pleased with how that's moving along, but that's kind of what we're waiting on. The engineering itself doesn't take that much time. Of course, the Southeast Loop project, which I do want to stress, is not a funded project right now, but we've got about 90% plans on it because I'm looking for money to get these projects built. It will construct what we call a 5-lane section, a continuous 2-way left turn lane with 2 lanes in each direction. That helps to just help traffic move around there. I know that the South Loop route it's important for everybody. It's very important for the city of Paris in terms of a hazardous cargo route and everything else that's been designated along that way. So we're trying to make that have a higher capacity. What also came from the feasibility study was a look at the 271 South interchange and what that's going to take to make that work. We've looked at the Northwest Loop as well and continuing frontage roads around the Northwest Loop to Bonham Street, and a few upgrades that could be made on the Southwest Loop. And then, of course, the 1924 interchange at the south side of town there at 3rd and 24 and 7th Southwest, and making that whole thing work better. Work safer for people to get on and off, and help folks get in and out of Chisholm. The timeline we're on there, I've just got a to be determined on the construction schedule because it's not funded. So as this thing is funded, we will pull it into our unified transportation plan and find a good day to pin this thing down and say that's when we're going to build it. It needs comparatively very little right of way, very few utility adjustments to make that project happen. And touching base real quick on US 82 West, this is a 2 to 4 lane conversion that's been under design for a while. This project will connect the loop in Paris to, call it Honey Grove, where the last project ended. As I mentioned earlier, US 82 has become a pretty major route between I-30 and I-35. We've constructed out through Grayson County. We've constructed out through Fannin County. We've constructed from Paris to Blossom. The Atlanta district with Bowie County, they're beginning to move west from New Boston, heading back towards us there in Clarksville. And so this is the next big step to make Paris connect to that there to the west, so we can have a nice 4-lane divided section that'll really get you, whether you're going to Sherman or Wichita Falls, or you're just going to Bonham to get on 121 and head to Dallas. This will help make that work a little faster. We are buying right away out there right now. We're moving utilities. It's moving along really well. We just passed a major hurdle last week, a week ago tonight, where we had a finding of no significant problems. Let me put it that way, just to shorten up the acronym a little bit. But from the U.S. Department of Transportation and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Typical section there, as shown. Of course, coming out of Paris now, we do have a turn lane that stops about 1510, and it goes to a 2-lane highway. We are going to have a divided 4-lane out past that point, so there'll be a depressed grass median. It'll look like a lot like 271 North looks all the way to the river. And that project is set to let in December 2026. That may slide a couple of months, just a couple of months. You're probably not even going to notice on the construction timeline for funding reasons. I've got to pull some money from some other places to make this thing happen, and that's kind of how the dollars are going to come out to be. So it may be as late as March of 27, but that winter, we'll say it's that winter, and by that next spring, we're going to start construction on that project. There's contact information. Of course, you want to look up anything for Paris District projects, you can go to TxDOT.gov website. If you're interested in the loop, you can download every single thing we have on the loop is at loop286.com. That'll redirect you back to TxDOT's website that has a URL that's about this long. So we just came up with loop286.com to make that simpler for everybody. Daniel Taylor is our area engineer. I know you guys have spoken to him several times. Of course, I'm in the middle, and Dwayne Goods, our advanced planning engineer. Any of us will be more than happy to help you out with any questions you have, and that goes for everybody.
We've got big projects on deck in Paris, and we're excited about them. We've been building them throughout Greenville. We've built them throughout Sherman. We're ready to knock these out here in Paris.
Mr. Perry, we appreciate you taking the time to present this to us. One, I want to open up the floor to council in case if anyone has any questions, any questions or concerns.
I don't have any questions, but I'm glad that y'all are doing all the things, and I'm excited about what you have planned for Southeast Loop. But also, I just want to thank you for what you did. I worked at Camel Soup for 33 years, so the exiting and entrance way, I've seen accidents year after year, so what y'all did there really helped, and I'm sure y'all see that now, the data.
Yeah, that was a good improvement there, and we looked at that for a long time. How can we help people coming from the west get in, but minimize those conflicts coming out? And I think it's working pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
When are your headquarters opening, the regional office?
Soon, hopefully. Now the construction contract we think is gonna by the time we run through our punch list and get everything ready to go, have all the audio video set up, and we're ready to. I'm gonna say August 1st. I would love to say late June. I'm feeling late June. I'm hoping for late June. Probably going to be around August 1st.
Well, thank you for choosing Paris to put that.
No, it made sense to stay here. We've been here for 100 and something years. It didn't make sense to move, and it's great for the city. I'm planning on using that building as a good recruiting tool. It is difficult to get engineers out of college that aren't from Paris to want to come to Paris, and having a nice new building. That just looks neat, and it's going to, looks great from the road, and it's very nice on the inside. We will be having a ribbon cutting. I don't think we've set the final date for that yet, but we will soon, and all y'all will be on the invite list for that. So we'd love to show it off to you.
Mr. Perry, but one, I want to thank you. Every time a citizen has asked a question that I'm not 100% aware of the answer, you always provide that answer, and I want to tell you I appreciate that. And one question I do have: a lot of citizens on the west side of town have asked me, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but are we still? How's that timeline looking on the update for the sidewalks on Bonham Street that go? I think it's both sides, correct? Mm-hmm. What is that looking like?
We're looking at letting that project in September, so construction probably starting early November-ish. It's that project, it'll go from 11th all the way to the loop. I say the loop. It'll go on the north side, it's going to go to the subway, and on the south side, it's going to go to Park West, trying to get out to the actual intersection there at the loop. We're going to catch that on a little bit later project where we're going to signalize Bonham Street at the loop, and then we'll build the pedestrian facility with the push button access to get across the loop, get to Cefco and the neighborhood out there south of Cefco. But yeah, the project that gets you from the loop to 11th is set up for September.
Perfect. And then on top of that, will there be any lighting or anything on that sidewalk?
I don't think we have lighting included. When it comes to lighting, we would love to work with City of Paris on getting that set up. There's safety lighting, and then there's what we call continuous lighting. And so there's some agreements that have to be made between the city and the state on doing continuous lighting. But that if that's something that the city of Paris would like to look at in addition to the lighting that has already exists at some of the intersections, we would be absolutely happy to go down that.
If it's okay, I would like to look into that further.
Okay.
And bring that up to a future council meeting, maybe discuss that, because look, we all agree in our community we want to continue to bring good opportunities and light it up. Let's light up our community and make it safer, make it more more friendly for people to be able to travel. And by you guys putting in the sidewalk, let me tell you, that's a big opportunity for folks to be able to go to the store or go to each other's homes and travel safely. But when it's bright, people feel so much safer.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think that would be a great opportunity. I know we have Encore in the back too, so so it'll be great to maybe couple and marry a bunch of relationships here and figure this out. But
yeah, and I'm big. Pedestrian access is a big, that to me is always one of those things that we didn't spend a lot of time on it for a long time because we couldn't. just legally, the way our money works, we couldn't do a lot of that stuff. We could do ADA ramps in the corners, but we couldn't connect them to anything, which was frustrating. And now that we've got the ability to do that, it's good for communities in general to be able to have that kind of accessibility.
Fantastic. And would you be okay to share this with council, this presentation?
Absolutely.
Awesome. That'd be great.
You got it.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Councilmember Putnam, for bringing this up as an agenda item, and we appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will now move on to agenda item number 15. Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on a petition of Don Wilson on behalf of the Evergreen Cemetery Association Incorporated for a zoning change from Agriculture A to Commercial C in the City of Paris, Block 167, part of Lot 1, 2.06 acres, LCAD 70476, located in the 2100 block of Southeast 3rd Street. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Greetings, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. So this is a rezoning application put in by the Evergreen Cemetery Association Incorporated, and they are requesting for a zoning change from agriculture to commercial use for an office building. And the reason is that currently that particular lot portion, which is now platted, is split into two halves. The east side is commercial and the west side is agriculture. Now, our table of uses does not permit agricultural zone for office building, and so it looks appropriate to rezone that half to commercial to make it a whole, complete for commercial purpose, so that the office building can go in. So this request was put before the P&Z Commission on the April 7th, and a motion was carried 4-0 to recommend approval. This application currently is before you today to consider what the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended to zone that portion from agriculture to commercial district to enable them to build the office building. And that's what's before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will open the public hearing and ask anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward. The public hearing is now open.
My name is Jim Blassingame. I'm the manager of Evergreen Cemetery, and the purpose of this is for the new office. My office is right at 100 years old, and it was an old Army barracks from Camp Maxey, and I am totally out of room. I've been really out of room for about 9 years now. This project's been going on with our board of directors, and we don't have a place for family that's coming in to make arrangements for their loved ones. And right now we've got about 40,000 people buried in Evergreen Cemetery. So my records are huge, and I need extra space. Terrible. And I'm ashamed to bring families in my little small office. My bathroom at home is bigger than my office. And my filing cabinets take up everything, and I've had to set tables up. So we desperately need this expansion so I can get a new office. I've been out there 54 years operating out of that thing. And I hope to be another 50 years in the new office. And I thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Blassingame? No questions, but thank you for taking such good care of the cemetery.
Appreciate that.
We do appreciate it.
It is a community cemetery.
Yes, sir.
And we're still in operation.
Sir.
But I need an office.
Duly noted. Is there anyone else? If not, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and I will open up the discussion to council. Any questions or anything that we want to discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion that we pass the petition from Evergreen Cemetery Association.
We've got a motion. We've got a motion and a second. Ms. Norman, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Moving on to agenda item number 16, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on a petition of Chance Floyd on behalf of APS Rentals LLC for a zoning change from a one-family dwelling district, number 2, SF2, to a neighborhood service district, neighborhood services NS in the city of Paris, block 193, lots 3 through 7, LCAD 17123, 17124, 17125, 17126, and 17127, located in the 1900 block of Graham at Northwest 19th Street. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is also another rezoning request. And the company is APS Rentals LLC. They want to put in a laundromat. And currently, it is zoned one family dwelling district, that is SF2, but our zoning table of uses allows for such type of development to be under neighborhood services. So the applicant is currently requesting to rezone it from single family to that neighborhood service district. We did not receive any opposition to this application. However, this neighborhood service is not adjoining or abutting any other neighborhood service within the property location. Currently, if you can see, the LCAD is showing 5 different lots. They are in the process of combining all these 5 lots for this purpose. And so, based on what pre-development meetings went on, city staff recommended that we should approve this application. It went before P&Z on April 7th, and they recommended approval for this application. And so we, staff, we go ahead and also say that we recommend approval for this application. And it will serve much more use to the south, where there is a bigger community like RV park, mobile home park over there, and it will be a good use for those neighborhood over there. And so that is what we based our recommendation on. So that is what is before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will go ahead and open up the public hearing and ask anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, is there any discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
I make a motion to approve item 16.
We've got a motion.
Second.
Second from Mr. Kessel. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Agenda item number 17, discuss in consideration of a resolution approving the form and authorizing the mayor to execute the reimbursement agreement, Forest Brook Public Investment District Number 1, between the City of Paris, Texas, and the Lone Star Plan Development LLC. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, good evening. As you recall, October 14th of 2024, council passed and created a resolution that created the Forest Brook Public Improvement District, PID, our first one here in Paris, and that was with the Lone Star Plan Development LLC. At the same meeting, you also approved the development agreement with that developer. Our next step is we are not ready to issue bonds yet, but we're getting to that point, and you have in your packet the development, well, pursuant to the development agreement, the reimbursement agreement, and the bonds will not exceed $20 million. So in everything that you have in the reimbursement agreement. Staff has worked with bond counsel, our consultants, with the developer, excuse me, and other legal individuals to come up with this particular reimbursement agreement, which staff is recommending that you approve this evening. Of course, bonds will not be issued. We'll come back to you again before bonds will be issued. And we do have a representative with Samco tonight here that could do a little bit better. I'm presenting this for Stephanie, who's out ill, but he can answer any technical questions that you may have. But other than that, staff is recommending that we move forward with the reimbursement agreement as presented.
Thank you. Council, any questions, any discussion on this PID item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir. Moving on to agenda item number 18. Receive a presentation by the fire chief regarding the purchase of fire trucks and equipment and possible financing options to facilitate the purchase and other matters related thereto. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. Tonight we're here just to bring you a status update on our apparatus replacement program for the fire department. Let me see if I can get this slide program to, there we go. As you can see on the first slide here, our apparatus fleet is aging rapidly. Our aerial device or ladder truck is a 1996 model that no longer meets ISO requirements just due to the age alone. I mean, it's a 30-year-old vehicle. We stopped getting ISO credits for these vehicles at 20 years. Our frontline pumpers are a 2011, 2015, and 2017, along with a 2012 model rescue truck. Our reserve pumpers are 1998 models, only one of which is still in service. With these aging vehicles comes costlier, more frequent repair bills. Along with the major vehicles, we also have an extensive list of support vehicles that include our command vehicle, our brush trucks, our rescue boats, the fire marshal vehicles, trailers, etc. The normal lifespan of a fire truck is usually 10 to 15 years frontline, and it's really better if you can err more towards the 10-year side, with 5 years going into reserve as a reserve pumper. We currently have a 2011 pumper, a 2015 pumper, and a 2017 Quinn, along with that rescue truck as our frontline apparatus. The timeline to replace these things run 35 to 36 months after the order is placed. We have a 15-year plan that we put in place back in 2015, and we've kept it updated since then. The problem was during 2020 when COVID hit, we had city manager changes and we had budgetary issues with the sewer plant, things that were going on. We got off schedule in 2020. So this is a rotating 3-year plan where we buy a larger, more expensive piece of apparatus and then 2 of the smaller pieces of apparatus in that same 3-year cycle and then repeat. And over a course of 15 years there, eventually we get everything replaced and we keep everything new or newer. The next slide shows, there we go. The next slide shows our escalating maintenance expenditures for the older apparatus. You can see that it's really gone up over the last several years just because of the age of the vehicles alongside the increasing number of calls for service we had. We spent $125,000 last year alone just on maintenance. We've already spent $55,000 this year with only half the year gone. That's just to keep these fire trucks running and keep them on the street and to keep one reserve engine available. So we've got to have these apparatus to cover the neighborhoods. This, along with the price increases and the extended delivery times, make it imperative that we continue this apparatus replacement plan. Our current status of purchasing, we managed to get back on track with purchasing in 2023. After skipping the one cycle, we got back on 2023 and we placed an order for a new aerial device in September of that year. It should be delivered in April of this next year. This is going to replace a 1996 ladder truck that we're using now. The total cost for this truck to be paid upon delivery is just over $2.2 million. If we were able to pay that now instead of waiting until it's delivered, we could save $57,493 just on that single purchase. We've also received a quote for the next round of purchases, which it's a new pumper for Fire Station 3, which is the 2011, the oldest pumper that we have, a new brush truck to replace that 1997 model brush truck, and then a new command vehicle. The quote for all of those pieces was originally $1,618,213. Because we intend on purchasing multiple vehicles at one time, we were able to get a small discount of $18,454, bringing that total down to $1,599,759. If we were able to prepay that quote, it would save us an additional $87,458, bringing the final amount to $1,514,301 for the three vehicles mentioned. The delivery time for the pumper is 34 to 36 months from the order date. The brush truck would be 18 to 24 months, and the command vehicle is 8 to 12 months out. And that quote that we have there is only valid until May 30th, and then prices will go up. They tell us these prices will go up 4 to 5% a year, but looking back over the last several years, it's really getting closer to 8% increases every year on these vehicles. So, really, as far as the payment options on these things, we have several different options there. There's actually 3 available. If we wait until we take delivery on each of these, we pay the full purchase price of each order upon delivery, and this would only realize a savings of $18,454 for the multiple vehicles. Option 2 would be to pay full price of the aerial upon delivery, which is what we're currently set up to do, and prepay for the new order. This would give us $18,454 for the multiple vehicle purchase and a prepaid discount of $458 for the new order only. Or there's option 3 where we could prepay the cost of the aerial and prepay for the new order. This would realize a total savings of $163,405 over the cost of all of those vehicles. The financing options will have to be discussed by Ms. Beverly, Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Cunningham from Samco Capital, because that's obviously way above my head. So we'll bring in the subject matters for experts for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, the staff's been talking about how do we pay for these fire trucks for a little while. And one of the ideas that we want to bring forward probably next month at a council meeting is an idea we've used before, and that's tax notes. In 2020, we issued $1.1 million worth of tax notes to finance some much needed equipment, primarily down in the public works area. Tax notes by law can't be any longer than 7 years debt, and the fire trucks that we've been talking about and the other vehicles are going to run about $3.6 million. There'll be some issuance costs that may run it up to the 3.7, 3.8 range by the time we're through. But that is an option that could work with tax notes over a 7-year period. The notes we issued in 2020 pay off next year, so we've got that debt going away. And that would also be an advantage to us if that's an option that we choose to take. Ryan Cunningham from Samco Capital is here tonight, and we're going to take advantage of that for him to kind of just do a little educational discussion about tax notes. Some of you were here maybe in 2020, but most of you were probably not. So we didn't want you to come into the meeting next month and not kind of be briefed and understand the concept.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Ryan Cunningham, Samco Capital Markets. So I just wanted to follow up. That was an excellent presentation by the fire chief and Mr. Anderson on tax notes. So basically what only requires one city council action to go ahead and authorize the notes if that's what you did want to do, and then you have funds in your account 30 days later from that. Now generally what happens is we come and the bond council would encourage you to authorize a reimbursement resolution, which allows you to enter into a purchase order for the apparatus or use existing funds on hand hand, and then when you get the funds from the notes, to reimburse yourself for that. Now, it doesn't require or obligate you to, but it just allows you to go ahead and move forward and use money that's on hand if that is something that you want to do. Just to talk about interest rates a little bit, we've been running the analysis at about 4%. We would probably cushion that a little bit more. As you know, everything's been very volatile with tariffs, and we've seen a bond market that's as volatile as it's been since COVID. It's been calming back down, but we'd expect you to be able to borrow at about a 4 to 4.5% rate. We think that'd be a little bit on the high side. And then also this allows you to put the debt on your INS side, which, as you know, maintenance and operations keeps getting compacted with what's going on at the legislature. So we think it would probably cost about 2 cents on the INS side, but it leaves the money for maintenance and operation to run the city. So I'm glad to get into any more details that you want about the process. We think it would probably be about 6 weeks, and you'd have funds in your account in July.
Can you explain what the tax notes are and just briefly and how they work?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the pledge is the city's ad valorem tax, the ability to levy taxes for it. So that's what the repayment is, and that's where you have the strong AA3 by Moody's, the strong credit rating, like a AA minus, lets you go out and borrow at a lower cost. So a lot of the companies, the fire trucks, they sometimes offer financing packages, but it's not as strong as the pledge of the tax base here of the city to repay it. So that's why you get a lower interest rate, and it's generally the lowest borrowing cost, especially for the amounts being contemplated by the city. But it only requires one council action to go ahead and authorize the notes. So if that is something that the city would like to do, we'd expect to come back here at the meeting, the second Monday in May, with a reimbursement resolution on hand and to look for direction. And then if the council did want to go forward with that, we'd start putting together the offering document that goes out to investors, and then we would go out and we'd anticipate receiving competitive bids with the lowest interest rate being the ones that were awarded the tax notes for the city.
I kind of want to open up the discussion to council and see what any particular questions on the funding and how this goes forward, or anything you'd like to see for the future for the next meeting to have a further discussion on this item.
So I know we said we had a 3-year plan on, I think Chief mentioned a 3-year plan on how we replace engines or whatever units. So how's that budgeted? How do we do the budget on a 3-year plan for that?
That's always been left to the city manager. In previous times, there's been times when we bought an engine outright. The last 2 pieces of apparatus, they actually took out 10-year notes on each piece of apparatus. Both of, I believe, one of them is falling off this year and the other one falls off next year. So that's the way that those were just financed through a normal lending company, I believe, weren't they?
Actually, Liberty Bank financed them for us.
So it's not like we use the same plan over the last 30 years.
No, sir.
It kind of goes.
No, sir.
Okay.
It's been according to available funds and direction from council on the way those have been
And
financed.
this question is probably minor, but what do we do with the old engines? I mean, can we sell them to VFDs? Can we auction them off? Can you do anything that can get a little money from them?
What we have typically done in the past is, yes, sir, we've put them in an auction. That's the last several vehicles. But to be honest with you, the ones that we are moving out are 30 years old plus and they're worn out. We're going to get very, very small amounts for those. Right. I mean, we would be lucky to, I would say, $30,000 to $40,000 if we were lucky.
Per unit?
Per unit.
That's not bad. I mean, that'll fund some streets that we're talking about.
Like I said, that's if we're lucky and it's still running when we get ready to auction it. I mean, I've got one that would probably have to be towed off right now. So.
Right, that's not bad. I thought you was just to say like 2,000 or 3,000. 30,000 is not bad.
Sorry.
With the
I just want to pipe in here and say, as far as like the fire chief was saying, this is definitely something that the city manager will be looking at, and that right now would be me for the future of this ongoing capital improvement replacement plan for the fire apparatus. And as I'm looking at this, I would echo Mr. Cunningham in that the volatility of things, the way that they're going on the M&O side of our taxes right now, for our property tax, is concerning to me, and that's why, as far as I'm looking forward ahead strategically, I would definitely be in favor of putting this on the INS side and doing this as a tax note. I think, and I don't know what we will be getting in the future for revenue, and I know that's gone down quite a bit as far as what we're collecting for interest, but I know it's been a little bit closer. It's been a little bit of an offset. It's not as much now, but I would definitely recommend this. I'm not very comfortable with the way things are looking for the M&O side right now.
Do we have any money earmarked or set aside for the ladder truck already?
Yes, sir. We had set aside $1.5 million in anticipation if we didn't come up with a plan, then that would put us close enough that, we could find some funding that way. One of the reasons that we're looking at the tax notes, though, is not to use that reserve up, but to maintain it in case we didn't need it. Once we spend it, it's gone. But that is something to consider as well.
And one more question, what else can tax notes be used for? Is it only the maintenance of equipment? Or?
No, that's a great question. So one point to follow up on what Ms. Beverly's comment, a lot of cities are implementing sort of a rolling tax note program every 2 to 3 years based on whether it's for fire or vehicle replacement or park services, just so they can lump it in all at once and keep it on the INS side. Now, you can use tag notes. There's a lot of different purposes that you can use them, but it would be specified for the purchase of fire apparatus. So then if you issue the tag notes, it's obligated for that specific purpose, but they can be used for other things. But we would identify that ahead of time.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Oh, in your history, well, in your experience and historically, is that a good practice to, like going forward? Would that be a good strategic practice?
It is a good strategic practice because it keeps, the M&O funds for actually running the city and capital improvements on the INS side and funding that. So it really is a healthier way for the city to manage its finances going forward, and we see it a lot of places. So, and like I said, with the strong credit rating, you get the lowest cost of borrowing that you're going to be able to get.
Okay, thank you.
And dealing with the caps on the M&O side, you're capped at that side, so you only have so much to work with for those other things, and it's good to keep, especially right now with the volatility of what's going on in the world, I prefer to keep our reserves in reserves and use the other NS side.
What is I think earlier, going back to what you had mentioned earlier, you said 4 to 4.5%, somewhere around there?
Yeah, we've been running about 4%, which is what we would generally expect. But like I said, with what's going on with the tariffs, we're seeing, 80 basis point moves in the bond market over a week sometimes. So I just want to be a little bit conservative on what the expectations are. But we would think, 4.5 would be on the high side. But like I said, we've been getting back some of the rates in the bond market, but it's been really crazy the last 3 weeks.
And then, Chief, quick question: do we are these customized, or are they stock?
No, sir, we order the custom because we have certain obligations and certain things we have to meet. For instance, Station 3, that fire station was built in 1965. You can't just go buy a normal piece of fire apparatus that will fit in that station, both due to the height and the length of the apparatus. So we have to make sure that we get something that fits the station and fits our needs as well, to where we get 20 years of service out of that truck. So it is a custom ordered truck.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because, oftentimes you can buy those stock trucks, but that may be at a compromised rate, so you may get it faster. But if you're particular to, hey, we've got to have this item here, these things here, you're absolutely right. You kind of have to give that up and do that. The other question I have is there a warranty process on this? What does the warranty look like? I know there's a lot of technology on these trucks. Is there anything that comes aside as a warranty plan or anything on these fire trucks?
We basically get a year, maybe 2 out of them, depending on the piece of apparatus, and that's about it as far as the warranties go, yes.
Gotcha.
I remember you saying that before, and that's really surprising.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's a lot of technology going into the new fire apparatus, and the bigger they are, the more expensive it gets, and it's a big deal.
And then I can't remember if you guys had mentioned a time frame of when these would potentially be here.
Yes, sir. On the major apparatus, right now it's running 3 years just to get it here. Some of the aerials, We're seeing 2.5 years, and the one that we've got on order, it will be 2.5 years from the time of order that we receive that. We've already got it coming. It'll be here in April 2026. The other ones, if I order it today, it's 3 years before we actually take possession of that.
My God.
Yeah.
Chief,
Yes,
if we had just, and thank God it hadn't happened here, but if we had a major wildfire, who do we call on if we need, the airplane, helicopter drop, the ones that drop water off? Who would we call? Who are the closest?
We'd start calling the state of Texas. First thing we do is, obviously, we reach out to our neighbors, our volunteer departments and everything around to help us. The volunteer departments, even though they're undermanned and under-equipped, they do a fantastic job of fighting grass fires out in Lamar County. I mean, I can't brag on those guys enough. We would reach out to them. If we started needing aerial support, we would have to reach out through TDM and through TIFMAS to try to get some extra resources coming in from the state. The Forest Service is usually pretty quick about getting here. We've had them bring dozers, and we've had spotter planes over Paris and surrounding areas in years past, and they can get here pretty quick. They're usually got a crew based either between Clarksville and Texarkana, and then we've usually got some south of us as well, so they can usually respond pretty quick.
Well, I just asked that question just in case somebody's listening. I know that's a concern because of what's been going on in Carolinas and California and different places. So people live in the rural areas, I know they're concerned about that.
Yes, sir, and there are a lot of resources available through Texas. Texas is on top of the wildfire thing. They deploy all over the state anytime help's needed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we appreciate you all, and thank you for the hard work, Chief, and thank you for really looking into this and getting ahead.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 19, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on a petition of Zachary Bergenholtz for a text amendment to Exhibit 9B zoning ordinance 8-301, Plan Development District Use Permitted 10. The applicant has withdrawn this application, and this also pertains to agenda item number 20 and 21. So we will go ahead and move on to agenda item number 22. Agenda item number 22, discuss and act on a resolution approving and authorizing an economic development agreement and a tax abatement agreement with Todd Stevens pursuant to the 5 and 5 Housing Infill Development Program. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, greetings, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is the 5 and 5 program, and it's an application by Todd Stevens, who is the developer. He has applied for an economic development and residential tax abatement agreement under the 5 and 5 Housing Infill Development Program to build 5 single-family homes on the following properties that are currently tax trustee status with the city. These are LCAD numbers 10729 West Walker Street, Colonial Addition, Block 7, Lot 5. LCAD number 10730 West Walker Street, Colonial Addition, Block 7, Lot 6. LCAD number 10306 West Campbell Street, Maxi Addition, Block 7, Lot 2B. LCAD 13010 West Campbell Street, Maxi Addition, Block 8, Lot 3. And LCAD number 13011 West Campbell Street and 16th Street, Northwest Maxi Addition, Block 8, Lot 4. And so the current status is that staff has received the application and determined that the properties are within the program area and that the proposed improvement meet the criteria for the program. The proposed agreement attached hereto provides incentives under the Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code relating to transfer of the city trustee properties, tap fees, building plan review, and permitting, as well as a residential tax abatement under the authority of Texas Tax Code Chapter 312. All incentives are provided in the program guidelines and criteria. Notice of the council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to this meeting as required by law. So for the budget, discounts on the fees described above. The tax abatement will have ineligible budgetary impact as the abatement will apply only to the incremental value to taxable value attributable to the required improvements on otherwise unimproved property. And therefore, staff recommends adopting a resolution approving the attached 5 and 5 agreement with Todd Stevens. Thank you.
Council, I want to kind of open up the floor to you all and entertain any discussion, any questions we have.
Have we discussed, I mean, we haven't made a decision about the neighborhood uniformity language. That hasn't been presented to us yet. So until we have a clear understanding of what that says in the agreement, I don't feel comfortable approving it tonight.
I guess, yeah, that's true. I will suggest that we talk to the applicant and he comes up with a design concept, and if we get comfortable with it, I guess we can move forward with that. If not, then we can hold it back.
Do,
Would bring it back to us?
Not necessarily. Any staff will recommend the renderings, and any of you, if you have interest, we can let you see it, and if you're okay with it.
well, I know our city attorney is not here tonight,
Right.
but I think, just in my opinion, this item here, we can approve it on existing policy.
Correct.
Because that's what you're presenting it as. So I don't think we should base this on something that potentially might be passed or might not be passed in the future. So I don't think it's fair to the applicant, in my opinion.
Yes, that is a true statement. However, I'm not saying we should rely on that, but some sort of a common ground to give concerned council members the opportunity. After all, the applicant is going to show renderings.
Right.
And not to say his renderings will be rejected, but some sort of a talk for an agreement, say,
So what they show you, or your team, and if you bring it to us and we approve, their plan, do they have to stick to the renderings that they showed you? Is that in the policy, that they have to stick to what they showed you?
No, so if you approve this, the renderings, nothing is coming to you again. What I'm saying is, if they submit their plans and renderings, and we look at it, and it comes to the issue of looking at it in terms of neighborhood uniformity, we will discuss. So it's not part of the policies in there right now, but it is something that we're going to discuss with the applicant, if they can, look into that. If they cannot.
Are you saying that even if we approve it tonight,
Right.
you are going to look at it, and even though it's not necessarily policy yet, you can still look at it and say, hey, this doesn't meet with the approval or the feelings of council, or...
Like you are saying, we cannot prevent him from doing what he wants because it's not in there.
Right.
We're going to persuade.
Okay.
So, packet had the Ameritex Homes plans, which is that, if he presents that, is that what it has to be billed as?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
This one right here. The one with, let me kind of reference everyone here. We're talking exactly what you're talking about, Councilmember Kessel, where it has elevation C, elevation H, and elevation J. Is that correct, sir? So that's what he's asking about, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem is asking if we approve this tonight, and just so that way we all understand, if we approve this tonight, seeing that elevation C, H, and J are presented, essentially if we approve this tonight, he would have to, he could stick with this,
Yeah.
but we would be, you would say, as you were saying, you would say, we'd be trying to persuade him to say, hey, give us your drawings or give us
Yeah.
your look, and then let's bring it back to council.
No,
Is
no,
that-
it's not going to come to council. If you approve it, we're going to move forward with it. But in the process of beginning his approval, if any council member looks at it and they have concerns, we can let them know.
Have a good discussion about it potentially.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just going to put my 2 cents in on this one. Looking at that sheet, Ameritex Homes, it does, I mean, this does look like a fairly reasonable plan, and I think one that could go with just about any neighborhood. I mean, I think that I would be proud to see this kind of rendering or this drawing in our community with the elevation, with the projection of the roof. All of that looks good to my eye. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. But I did have one question, though. The question I had was, is the total square footage, no matter what elevation it is, C, H, or J, is it a total of 1090?
Yes.
That's it. Like,
That's it.
there's no variation in square footage in either one of those elevations. It's just the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
I mean, again, I feel like we just need a little more clarity on what we would like to do. Because the last time we talked about this, we talked about a committee that would approve plans and wouldn't. I mean, I don't think that we should do this on, like, just looking at one packet, because there should be some flexibility, but I just don't think the language is understood. And how do you feel, Councilman Norman?
Well, I know that we're doing a lot of hard work right now on the development code and plan.
Right.
And so, I hate to see something that is in the process of being built when this code is getting ready to be approved shortly.
Technically, this application is in, like Mayor Pro Tem is talking about. And so currently, they have applied based on the current code. So we have to use the current code, existing current code, to approve this process. You
I
have
think
the
that-
right to halt it.
I think the
No.
app that I'm looking at was signed on 3/12.
Mhm.
So I think I can agree with I think builders need flexibility. They're not going to build a mansion when it's in some of these areas. And I do understand the point of one-sided roofs that look like a barn, but this is really, these are homes, single-family homes. It's much better than some of the duplexes we're getting, and I'm in favor of approving it as long as they're going by the elevations that are presented.
And I think to your point, and that was the point I was trying to make, they've already submitted their application, so they have to go, we have to approve them on the current code or current policy. We cannot hold them up, even if we held them up and say, bring it back a month from now, we still have to go on the current policy. We have to approve them on the current policy. But going forward with the new applicants, if we come up with a new policy, then those people would have to, could be approved on a new policy. But these people will have to be approved on the old policy no matter what.
And I think also to better plan this out also, and this is not a slight on anyone. I mean, look, this developer's trying to develop and staff's trying to help him to move it forward, so I get it. But I think maybe until, I know our city attorney is out ill today, but until we get that back on council's, agenda, I really, to avoid this issue, I would really love to be able to have some clarity on that before we get another one back.
Okay.
Do you foresee anything, any other,
Application?
yes, any other applications coming?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we'll take note of that and get these neighborhood uniformity amendments in there And then, so that any application that comes in will follow those regulations.
Yes, and I know that I know that council feels, we didn't get good clarity on this as a team here to understand, hey, how do we want to move forward? But just so that way, we don't put any other developers in the middle of this,
Right.
to be able to have a good unified understanding as a team. But I do agree. I think on this one, this was planned prior to, and it's unfortunate that it's coming to us today as we're talking about trying to clarify this uniformity guideline. But I do feel that I don't want to hold this developer up, especially if it's going to, contend with having single-family homes in our neighborhood it looks fairly nice. I don't know the colors, or I don't know all the details of it, but it does look like a good home.
Yeah, and I need to clarify something else. When we were talking about committees and council members being on committees, that committee was not to be a part of approving these houses. That committee was to come up with a plan to present to council as far as future policy. We will not be on a committee that does y'all's job. Yeah, so council can't do that.
Right, and so that's why I put forward that if any council member has any suggestion, we can discuss that, and as a persuasion, not.
Yeah, we have to submit a policy and pass a policy. Each council member can't come to you and say, this is what I like and this is what I like.
Right.
We need to have a policy that y'all can use to do your job.
So I will ask, just as an update for council, if we can kind of get an understanding, and I know Ms. Harris is out today, but maybe getting an understanding of what that looks like at the next council meeting. So that way, let's just say if we do have that presented to us, and if council says, hey, we'd like to set up a committee, then that way we can move forward on that. And that way it mitigates any other
Right.
things that come up. We get a straightforward direction.
So
I think we need to form the committee.
Well,
question.
Let them bring it up. Let's let them, yes.
Really, I'm so sorry, Becky. Is it okay then if we get with Stephanie? Because I think what we were going to do is have her put some sample language together and present it to you all, because I thought she had a pretty good feeling of what the group was
Right,
looking
yes.
for. So maybe if we could take that sample language and bring it to the workshop.
Yes.
And then, you might not have to do a committee, because I felt like she had a pretty good idea of just getting some language that she could put together. So can we try that? And then if we don't get anywhere there, we can come back maybe with a committee and dive deeper.
Is everyone feel okay with that?
I do.
I know that was a directive we gave, was just for her to be able to put that language together, but we don't have it at the moment,
Just one question. Say, how long before do you think we have that development code ready to roll?
Prepared. It can get on the next council meeting agenda. Stephanie is looking into it already.
Not that. I'm so sorry. I think Ms. Norman was talking about the PDC, the development.
Oh, the whole,
That's
another different thing.
That's about seven to 8 months out.
It's
7 to 8, that's my
yeah,
question.
It's
Thank
big.
you.
It's bigger document. We are not close to that. I thought you were talking of the neighborhood uniformity. Sorry about that.
So regarding this item, though, I know we still kind of need an answer on a direction on this item. So I kind of want to continue this discussion and see if we can entertain some sort of a motion or tabling, or
Well,
however we see it fit for this item here.
Since the current policy, this applies to this applicant's, to this application, I'm going to make a motion that we approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve on the table at the moment.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
Can I have a motion to table the item, or no?
Well, we got to vote on this first.
Oh, you have to vote. Okay,
Let's-
then no.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-1.
Thank you.
All right. So I think we have good directive on this for the next,
Yes.
at least the next council meeting. If we can please have that, and at
Yes.
least we know the language, we have good clarity to move forward and then move forward from there. Moving on to agenda item number 23, receive quarterly demolition report from code enforcement. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, sir.
Greetings, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. If you'll look at your screens, this is a demolition report, first and second quarter. 6 houses in the first quarter, 8 houses in the second quarter. That's a total of 14 that we've demolished this year. And I do want to say that's 14 that have been demolished. The city did not demolish 1631. The owner did that one, but it was on our order. We did take it to Buildings and Standards and ordered them to do it, and the owner did that one. So again, that's 14 structures. Total budget spent so far is $38,258.17. The remaining funds are $111,741.83. Any questions?
Okay.
No, sir. Oh, this is the end?
Yep, one
Okay.
slide.
One
slide.
Sorry.
No, gotcha.
That was good. I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
And I know we've had a lengthy conversation, council, and we've had a good, healthy conversation about figuring out ways to help you guys. Is there anything else that from the last time we spoke to now, is there anything else that you could bring to our minds, our table, to know that, hey, this is something that could help us, a tool or anything at all that would help to better serve us to be able to help you?
I can definitely answer that a lot better closer to the end of the budget year.
Okay.
I will say that right now, the majority of these structures have been demolished by our abatement crew. And it's just because of the weather. We're working with smaller equipment. Our demolition contractor, they're using, big excavators, dump trucks, things of that nature. And honestly, it's just been so muddy. They haven't really got a chance to get going, but this is the same. This is the way it's always been. In the winter and spring months, we just don't get a lot demolished. Most of our demolition happens summer and fall. And it's just because it is drier.
Yes.
So I do expect our demolition contractor, he's on 2 houses, one on East Houston. He'll move just right around the corner to 17th Northeast. Big problem is right now, it's just so muddy. Every time you try to walk that piece of equipment further in, it just gets stuck. So, and again, I'll have much more input for you guys probably later in the budget year, but we really just have to see, how our new contractor does. Like I said, he's brand new. I expect good things from him. It's just right now it's so muddy. Can't really say much about it.
Absolutely.
You done?
Yes, please.
Well, just looking at the structures that have been torn down, there's not many on the west side of town. And I know there's a lot of structures that's probably approved to be torn down on the west side, but it looks like most of them are on the overwhelming amount of them on the east side. Why is that?
I don't really have an answer on that. I can look more into that. I can tell you that some of these, and I will say that the majority of the structures that are being torn down right now are from my abatement crew. A lot of these structures are smaller. But again, I can have you a much better answer for that. We try to prioritize as far as who's doing it, if it's been a fire, because 1710 Northeast 10th, the whole back of it had burned up, so we tried to move it up. You guys had asked us, I guess a year and a half ago, to kind of make a priority list. And fires were high up, main thoroughfares, things like that.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with that because.
No, I do.
As
Yeah, because the
council
West
member-
Side Town Hall
As
meetings.
council members, yeah, we get a lot
Absolutely.
of nobody's doing anything on the west side, even at
Absolutely.
the town hall meetings, so we get that. So when I looked at that list, that jumped out at me.
I understand, 100%. And I will have I can try to prioritize more on the west side. I can tell you, I don't ever go in like trying to prioritize anything over anything else. A lot of these are, like if they're close in proximity, well, we try to go, hit those because we're affecting an area. But I can definitely make sure that, we've got more west side houses being tore down. Right now, our demolition contractor has, I think, 12 work orders. I'll go in there and make sure that, at least half of them are in West Paris. Mainly, it's just we're trying to work from priority and age. We're trying to meet that.
Yeah.
But
The
yes.
work orders that you're talking about, you've already sent in addresses, right?
Yes, they already have 12 of
Can you
them.
send me that list?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
100%.
How many more after the 12 are still on the list?
We have, I can't remember if it's 58 or 59. That is, well, I take that back. Part of the 10 or 12 that they have is part of that list. So take the 12 of them off, you're looking at, what would that be? 47? Somewhere in there. And that's when they get done with those. And then obviously every month we have more that go on. When we make a quorum, we have had, it's kind of been strange. We've, more in the past 6 months, 7 months, we've probably missed a quorum more in the 7 or 8 months than we probably have in 7 or 8 years prior to that. And it's just, we had some people sick, we've had people out of town. Anyway, my chair has actually just resigned, so.
And I did some of the math. It's about $3,000 to tear down each structure.
That's.
Or it just depends.
It,
how much
well,
work's
it's
in
going to be more than that. It's just,
Probably. Because they're
um,
smaller. That's
I could break it down for you better. Like I could show you the math better, but it's like most of these are being done by our abatement crew. So you're only seeing landfill charges there. What's coming out of the budget does not show like their time, our equipment, because that's already paid for. That comes out of salaries. This is only out of that line item. So
what is the most amount of structures you have done in a quarter?
in a quarter ever?
Or a year? Or
In a year, the most we ever did was 102. And that was like right after, it's around 2012. State of Texas had put a freeze on demolition. And when we came back, city council had allocated about, Gene, was it like 400,000? It was a big number, right? I think it was around 400,000. And basically we had so many on the backlog. We had a demolition contractor that actually brought in extra help. And that was the maximum. That was them going as fast as they could. And we did a little over 100 in 1 year. But again, that's a lot of stars aligning and not making excuses. But then we were kind of in a drought. We had like 12 months of very dry weather and lots of money to throw at it.
Do you happen to say 400,000?
Does that sound about right, Gene?
Yeah, several hundred thousand. I don't remember exactly. That's been a while.
There's a trend here. This $400,000 keeps coming up.
Well, I do know that there was enough money that to where the demolition contractor, because we had allocated so much money, and Gene, help me out on this. I think it was at 150. After that, they gave us a 5% discount. After 250, it was a 10% discount, and anything after 350,000, we got a 15% discount. And it was enough to where I think that we had 12 to 15 houses that were on the 15%.
Oh, wow.
So like I said, we did 100 in 1 year.
Goodness.
I would just want to say thank you for all the work you do, and this still is a high priority on my list, and through the budgeting process, like back to neighborhood uniformity and seeing unlivable structures next to homes that are livable. I mean, it just, again, we're trying to.
And I thank y'all very much because, I mean, doing this for 20 years, I can't thank y'all enough for the money that you give. I mean, every year y'all have, given us more. So, and I truly appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll echo that. I think all of council, this is a big priority for all of us. And I know time and time again, we've all preached that, hey, we'd love to see more budgeting going to that. I know we're limited on certain funds, and I get that, but we really appreciate all the work you guys put in, and keep fighting the good fight. I know from a code enforcement standpoint, we're trying to propose different things for our community and for the citizens to be able to see that, hey, listen, the city does care, we want to help, but we want to lessen the burden on you guys too, to be able to empower our citizens to have that help that we can help to provide with that partnership. So thank you for what y'all do. And again, if there's anything that you guys do feel that, hey, council needs to know this, or we want to put this on the table, let us know, because we want those tools to be able to help you guys do better.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we will now move on to agenda item number 24, consider and approve future events for city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything?
Yeah, just, I guess this is a question for Mr. Amametsa. You know, when in the 5 and 5 program, the meetings that I was in, we let people choose different lots, right? They kind of pick the lots, and then it's kind of like their lot, they have a A, B, and C or something like that. You're A, B, and C on the list. Y'all still do it that way? Like
if
primary,
somebody
second-
picks a lot,
Yeah.
they get the
Right, and then
priority list.
somebody else is right behind them in case they let it go, and then you have a C, a person that's, you know.
Somebody who is on the
Right.
list, okay.
So the A person that has that lot, and they're able to eventually probably build on it, or they get to bring it to the council and we approve it or whatnot. When they're the A, who's in charge of mowing that lot and taking care of it?
At the time,
Yeah, at that time before we approve the application, when you give them that lot, are they in charge of mowing it or taking care of it, or Robert Talley's crew have to do it?
so in between, if, let's say this one that you just approved.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yes.
it go, the applicant takes charge of the lot.
After we approve it?
Right.
But not before?
No.
Not when y'all tell them, okay, you're the first person on the list, they're not?
No.
They don't have to do
It
it?
depends on the agreement. Until the
Okay.
agreement is signed, the applicant has no right to
Okay.
get on the property.
Okay, I was wondering that.
Okay.
Then I've got one more thing, not you, yeah, thank you, that's all I had for you. Just one more thing, and I want to make it clear that this has no reflection on the mayor at all, he's just doing what he thinks is best. But I think council need to come to an agreement that we need to stick to our citizens forum rules, because if you think I wasn't mad, to use, minor language here, I was mad because this guy attacked our police force, our police chief, our city attorney, council as a group, and that was not okay with me. I don't think he should be able to do, no one should be able to do that, because in our citizens forum rules, it said claims against the city's council members or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate in citizens forum. So they should not be allowed to do that, and that guy was allowed to do that, and I think that was wrong, and we should not allow that, because we don't have police here that's able to come up and rebut that, and I just think that was wrong. So I just wanted to say that I think as a council, we need to come to an agreement that never happens again. And I'm not going on opinion, I'm saying what's written in our citizens forum rules. So that should not happen.
Is there anyone else? I have one item. Could we also get an update from Lone Star Plan Development, Forest Brook, on how they're progressing on this project? Where are we at? What's the timeline look going forward?
At the next meeting, or?
Just when he has that availability, whether it's the next meeting or the meeting after that. I understand that they're busy too. I don't want to take away from his time, but I do want to at least get an understanding of where we're at on that project. Anyone else? Sir, sorry, that's fine. We'd love to answer that, sir, but we're still in the middle of the meeting for a future agenda from council. If you'll just give us just a moment to adjourn, and then we'll address. Is there anyone else that would like to add anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. All right. We are adjourned. Sir.